Shalom, family. Good to see everybody here. You know, I have noticed all of these videos cropping up ever since Donald Trump got on TV and spoke about the Supreme Court ruling and the 14th Amendment. Now, in what he was saying, Donald Trump said he was going to get rid of the 14th Amendment. What he meant, I know what Donald Trump meant. But these migrants are saying he's going to wipe it off of the Constitution. And I want y'all to really think about that. When has anything been wiped off the Constitution? I'm just asking. When has anything been wiped off the Constitution? Nothing. Okay. What he meant was he was going to take away the 14th Amendment from all of these immigrants up in here because it never applied to them. That's what he meant. I know what Donald Trump meant. In fact, I got a clip of exactly what he said, and he was very clear. Well, these immigrants are jumping on videos talking about nobody's going to have any rights, including us Black Americans and FBAs, and we're not going to have no rights either. Aren't y'all the same immigrants that said we were immigrants and we were going to get deported too, and you were as wrong as two left feet on that? Are y'all the same ones? Because it was the Africans and the Latinos that were sitting around believing that we were immigrants too. So now I'm supposed to believe you, who's saying that he's going to just wipe the 14th Amendment off of the Constitution and then no Black person will have any rights. Y'all, first of all, y'all need to work on your listening skills. I know what Donald Trump meant when he was talking. Many of us are not confused at all. When he said he's taking it away, he meant for all of you people that never should have been brought here under the 14th Amendment. That's what he's taking it away from. And why do you illegals and even the ones that are naturalized, why do y'all always act like you know more about what's going to happen to us than we do? We've been here for hundreds of damn years. No immigrant is going to walk in here and tell us something that we don't already know or done been through. Okay, and you would be the last people I would listen to because you don't have the same history here that we have. What the hell are you going to tell me about America that I don't already know? What the hell is wrong with these people? It's almost like they're trying to speak a curse on us. Well, if we got to get out of here, you Negroes, y'all gonna have to get out of here too. It's almost like they're trying to speak a curse on us. So I'm gonna let you listen to, I believe this woman, she looks Somalian. I want y'all to hear what she has to say. And she is talking like she's educating us. Trust me when I say this, every immigrant that got an ear, please listen. I don't need you to educate me on nothing about America. We done been to hell and back when it comes down to this country. There is absolutely nothing, not only a Somalian, a Kenyan, a Ghanaian, South Africa, there is nothing any of you can come over here and tell us that we don't already know. There is no Latino coming out of America that can come and tell us anything that we don't already know. The hell out of here. All right, I'm going to share my screen so you can listen to this woman. I didn't get a lot of these because they're all pretty much saying the same thing. So I got her talking, and then I got Donald Trump, and you can explicitly hear what Donald Trump said. And then I got some that are responding to these videos that are coming out from these immigrants. All right, y'all, please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. I believe she looks and sounds Somalian to me, but, you maybe some of my African subscribers, because y'all got a better eye for these things than I certainly do. If you can tell me what this woman is she Ethiopian or is she a Somalian? I believe she's Somalian, but that's my opinion. All right, let me go ahead and play this video for y'all.
Okay, all these FBAs in my comment clearly lack critical thinking skills because that original video was in reference to me talking about how the ICE raids affect all Black people as well. This is not just a Latino issue, this is a Black people issue, but it's been made very clear that y'all don't give a fuck about Black immigrants. But the cute little amendment that gave formerly enslaved people citizenship after the Emancipation Proclamation was the 14th Amendment. And, Trump is pushing to overturn the 14th Amendment, the same amendment that gave me, a child of immigrant, birthright citizenship, and every single Black American in this country citizenship because they were born in this country, right? If they overturn that shit, none of us are citizens. Okay, I might be a guest. Okay, I might not be Black American, but guess what? If the 14th Amendment goes, you and I go. Both of us go. And if you don't believe me, watch. Literally here, birthright citizenship. Supreme Court gives Trump a win. What does that mean? The Supreme Court lifted a temporary ban on Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship for children of unlawfully or temporarily, children of parents unlawfully or temporarily in the United States. Trump celebrated win as a victory, while others argue that
y'all, did you see that? She answered her own damn question just by reading the opening of the Supreme Court win. It said temporarily, right? So Donald Trump is getting rid of the birthright of the children of immigrants. She literally answered her own question, but she's trying to act like she's smarter than us. It does not say that he is going to end birthright for immigrants and American citizens or Black citizens or the descendants of slaves. They are saying specifically immigrants. So she made a statement and then she turned around and answered her own question and didn't even realize she did. But we're the ones that are stupid. Reading really truly is fundamental, y'all. It really is. But let's go on because she thinks she is so much brighter than the rest of us, and she is so not.
That it contradicts the 14th Amendment. So when I said these ICE raids and immigration rights is a Black issue, I wasn't being hyperbolic, okay? Because yes, am I thinking about Black immigrants? Absolutely. But I'm also thinking about Black Americans in this country who's been here for generations on generations and generations. If they overturn that 14th Amendment, there's no proof that you're a citizen. There's literally none. There's no argument why you should be given a birthright citizenship over me or over
that is the that is the whole problem right there. She feels if she lose citizenship, birthright citizenship, we should do it. Donald Trump should do it to us too. That's what she said. Yeah, she being a hater. Yes. Yes. So she's saying if I lose it, you FBAs should lose it too. Did you hear what she said? No, boo-boo. It don't work that way. We got written into the Constitution in 1868. So we have been in the Constitution, and we gonna always be in the Constitution as long as this place exists. But it don't work that way. If you lose it, then we should lose it too. So she got a serious attitude of entitlement on top of everything that she got wrong. Now, right after she gets done talking, Donald Trump, I got the clip of exactly what Donald Trump said. He never mentioned Black Americans, or he did mention descendants of slaves because he said that's what the 14th Amendment is for. But everything else about getting rid of it and getting rid of people like her is all pertaining to the immigrants. Let's go on.
An Afro Puerto Rican who's been in New York for, actually, that's a bad example because Puerto Rico is literally a property of the United States. Like Afro Panamanian in New York whose parents were born there and they were born there. Nobody's gonna have citizenship. They're gonna pick and choose who they consider citizen. And the difference between, if anything, this should scare you more, because I am privileged enough that if the worst case scenario happens and they overturn the 14th Amendment, I have somewhere to go back to. Black Americans, unfortunately, will not have that privilege because they've been here for 10, 15 generations. They're going to literally create a population of people who have no.
No such thing is going to happen. Again, no immigrant, listen to me now, no immigrant can walk in here and tell us what's going to happen to us. We done dealt with this system forever. We done dealt with the racism forever. We done dealt with their policies, their courts, and there is zero this woman can tell us. The problem is she about to get removed out of here, and she feeling a certain way about it. So she's trying to project her foolery onto us. So it's almost like I said, there's a lot of videos like this cropping up telling us, oh, well, you Black Americans are going to lose the 14th Amendment. You won't have nothing. And they're all immigrants. All immigrants. Now, there unfortunately are a bunch of our young people that are believing this nonsense. And that is definitely an education issue on their part. So you're going to hear a lot of different sides of this whole thing. But this bitch is trying to say, if I lose my place in America, you damn Black Americans need to lose your place too. That's really all. That's really the whole point she's making. And now she's trying to act like she got more of a right to be here than us. You listen to this bullshit. Like she got more of a reason to be here than we do. Girl, the only thing you need to do is pack the hell up before ICE kidnap your ass off the streets. You don't need to be worried about us. You better be worried about yourself.
State, a stateless people, which is exactly what Israel is doing to the Palestinian people. So when I say all of our struggles are interconnected, I was not joking. If you decide to look at things that only.
We ain't nothing like no damn Palestinians. We ain't nothing like no Palestinians. We are nothing like them damn Palestinians. What the hell is she talking about?
Only affect you, nothing is ever going to fundamentally change. If anything, things are going to get worse. So, yeah.
Decision. We can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis. And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation. This was, in fact, it was the same date, the exact same date, the end of the Civil War. It was meant for the babies of slaves, and it's so clean and so obvious. But this lets us go there and finally win that case, because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. It was meant for the babies of slaves. So thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with these numerous policies and those that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis, including birthright citizenship, ending sanctuary city funding, suspending refugee resettlement.
They could send you back to.
Okay. Did you hear what Donald Trump said? Is there anybody that did not understand what Donald Trump said? Is there anyone? I understood what he said. He said the birthright citizenship were for the children of slaves. It was never intended for people coming in here trying to scam the system. Now, who didn't understand that? Obviously, the Somali woman did not understand it because she's talking out of her ass. It's almost like she didn't listen to Donald Trump at all. But she wants us out of here if she got to be out of here. That's really the bottom line of what she's saying. If I got to get my ass out of here, you N-words got to get out of here too. No, it don't work that way. He was talking about immigrants and these illegals all up in here that made it in here on the 14th Amendment, and they never should have. That's what Donald Trump was saying. That's why he went on to say they're going to defund all of these sanctuary cities. Now, what does that got to do with us? Sanctuary cities, we didn't benefit from that. We sure didn't have no sanctuary living in them cities. So that had nothing to do with us and everything to do with these illegals up in here. They were the only ones that benefited from being in a sanctuary city. We never benefited from that stuff at all. That's why Donald Trump said he's defunding that. And she trying to play in our face like Donald Trump said he gonna wipe it out and nobody's gonna be a citizen. That's not what he's saying. He's gonna wipe it out for people like you that have no damn business being on this soil. That's what Donald Trump meant. Boy, you give a dummy a mic and look at what happens. All right, let's go on.
To Africa, if they could find a way to do it, they would. Liberia, prime example.
See, ladies and gentlemen, this is the prime example why the education system in America is so fucked up today. It's people like her, liberal Gen Zs, and these young people who know nothing about history. The young lady talks about how she's pissed off at FBA, Foundational BIk American, because we decide to quantify ourselves as American. Although we know we are of African origin, we have no ties to Africa. Ultimately, she goes on and rants and says that when Trump sticks up for individuals who gave their lives, sweat and blood, who have gained citizenship through the 14th Amendment, he's pissed off because ultimately at the end of the day, we say it exactly how we feel. None of us, majority of the African Americans here in America, have ever visited Africa, don't know where our foundational tribe is, or know what dialect or language that our origins are from. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we're not tied to Africa. We're only tied to Africa through DNA. And ultimately, at the end of the day, she's pissed off because she says we do a disservice to our ancestors. This young lady actually realized that we were actually a captured people or imprisoned people who were sold to the white man by African tribes. So ultimately, at the end of the day, this young lady is dead wrong. She's pissed off at the end of the day because we're actually taking credit for something that we deserve. This is what the liberals do. They brainwash these black women to include everybody in our damn struggle or in our history, to include everybody else who truthfully don't give a damn about us. This young lady says something about being sent back to Africa, and she utilized Liberia. Again, she doesn't know her history. He doesn't realize that Liberia was formed by African Americans who decided to go back to Africa, not because we were sent back to Africa. Again, I told you, we should have been sent back a long time ago. They wanted to send our ass back. They could have sent us back during Reconstruction, Jim Crow, segregation movement. They could have had some boats loaded right on up. Again, that's the reason why those individuals went back and formed Liberia. Again, this is what you call liberal 92% black women, these young girls who ultimately at the end of the day hate Trump more than anything else, but fail to give this man credit for representing exactly what our ancestors stood for. How illegal immigrants have just flexed the system on the backs of our ancestors using the 14th Amendment. But baby girl, I ain't got time to hear your bullshit. I'm honestly not going to say too much about my African people because ultimately at the end of the day, it's a cultural thing. Ultimately at the end of the day, African culture is like oil and water as it relates to American culture. So there are a lot of Africans who look at Black Americans in a different light. I'm not going to say negative. I'm not going to say nice. Ultimately, sometimes there is a disconnect. Baby girl, you said we cooning? No, you cooning. You cooning out for a culture that pimps you every day. You are a representative of the feminist movement, liberal white woman movement. Liberalism that's convinced you to include everybody in your own damn experience. Accept Planned Parenthood as a mode of healthcare. To accept woke as the rule of law. Again, as a foundational Black American, I'm not just only African American. Again, I have Native American in my blood. I have Irish in my blood. I have biracial in my blood. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what makes us so unique. So yes, Africa is in my DNA, but America is in my heart. And I salute my flag and none other. Again, so take your ass to Africa. Tell me what's your tribe of origin. Where did you come from? Not about around. I need to know what's your dialect, where you're from. Would they accept you if you got over there? No matter how nappy your dreads are, how much they need a retwist, they'll still consider you an American.
So Simone Sanders of MSNBC recently said that Black people were next in line for deportation. Now that's news to me. I have been an American citizen, a Black male American citizen for 64 years. And I guess the bigger question is, where would they send us to? I mean, no other country has an open border policy where they'll receive, 15 to 20 million foreigners into their country. So people on the left, liberals, Democrats, whoever you might be, can you please do me a favor, do us all a favor, and stop comparing Black Americans to illegal rapists, murderers, drug traffickers, human people traffickers. We are definitely not the same. In the words of Kendrick Lamar, they not like us.
Oh, the media. The media brings comments like this to me all the time. And Tony C says they are getting ready to dissolve the lower federal court system and unleash military groups on African Americans. That is why the Supreme Court gave him the power so he could strip the 14th Amendment. And Tony C, I really hate to be the bearer of bad news and to disappoint you like this, but that is simply not true. All he did was stand on business. The simple fact that Black Americans, we are true Americans, and those individuals who were born into slavery, the 14th Amendment made sure that they were giving birthright citizenship. But what has happened is that the illegals and people on the left side has weaponized that 14th Amendment and allowed everybody who comes over here illegally birthright citizenship. And all Trump did was stop that. Now I hope he makes it go back. If you go back all the way to the Obama administration. I'm cool with that. But he didn't strip anything away. Black Americans, we have been here. So if he's going to deport African Americans, that makes a lot of sense, especially those Africans who never gained legal citizenship. Yeah, y'all got to go home too. Y'all got to go home just like everybody else has to go home. If you are not a legal citizen, you have to go home. He didn't strip anything. He just stood on business. And what he did with the lower courts was simply they cannot stop him from sending people home who were abusing the birthright citizenship. The lower courts cannot stop him. That's all that did. So I really hope that you go back and do some other digging and information, because Black Americans, we're not going anywhere. We're not being deported anywhere. But African Americans, if you are not here legally, yes, it's time for you to go home too.
Now, while we're here talking about this birthright citizenship thing in the 14th Amendment, I noticed a pattern. Y'all. Let me tell y'all the pattern I noticed. What Trump is talking about, okay, in regard to the 14th Amendment and birthright citizenship is the fact that it has been taken out of context and used inappropriately, okay, in comparison to the context in which it was enacted. and the purpose in which it was enacted, and when it was enacted, why it was enacted, and who it was enacted for. That is what Trump is pointing out. He's saying that the 14th Amendment was about the emancipated Black people and their descendants, Black and indigenous folk that were enslaved and their descendants. That's what he's talking about. Okay. And he's saying basically all these other groups of folk basically was running out on this amendment. Okay. And pulling it out of context to basically use it to support illegal immigration. That is what he's saying. You got folk coming to the country 9 months pregnant and dropping a baby on the soil and then using that baby as leverage to backdoor their way into citizenship. That's what he's saying. Okay. Even when this has happened a lot, even from with the Dreamers, right? With DACA. Okay. That was about grown ass folk bringing kids here from other countries, okay, and dropping them off on U.S. soil, and then basically bullying the country into giving them citizenship and accepting them, even though how they got here was wrong, right? Using emotional blackmail and manipulation to keep them here, saying they've been here all their life, they don't know any other thing. But the truth of the matter is they should have never been brought here in the first place, okay? Folk have been running out on America, using America at like we some motherfucking babysitters or some shit. Just straight dropping kids off, closing the goddamn door and saying them y'all kids now. Motherfuckers acting like we grandma house or some shit. But let's talk about the pattern real quick that I have noticed with this shit. And I keep saying it goes what Trump is highlighting: context and nuance to the 14th Amendment. I noticed that there's a pattern, and we can even clock this and peek this on social media. People love to completely dismiss context and nuance when it comes to anything attached to Black people. Yeah, I said it. Anything that is attached to Black people. We see this repeatedly with takes, the way they view situations, all kinds of stuff. They completely remove the context, the historical context, okay, the historical nuance, the other things in it that would enable you to fully comprehend something, right? Those comprehension skills just don't be there, which allows folk basically to exploit some type of loophole, okay, to run the fuck out, okay, to run the fuck out, to manipulate, okay, to play motherfucking games and play in people's faces and play on people's top. And so basically he cutting through all that like, hey, we not having that no more. Okay? We not having that no more. Y'all know good and goddamn well what this amendment was about, who this amendment was for. Okay? Stop playing in people's faces and stop fucking up the church's money. Because once you're here, you're on America's tab, you're on America's dime. Okay? So basically he's saying folk gonna stop mooching and freeloading, okay, and getting the fuck off on the system. Now, where Black Americans come in this at, if y'all was using an amendment, basically, I'm going to use a school analogy. If you was cheating off of people's homework, then why mistreat the motherfuckers whose homework you was cheating off of to get an A? That's where y'all got the Black community fucked up at. If you was cheating off of our test, okay, to pass your test, then why the fuck would you turn around and treat us like shit? And that's what some of y'all need to think about. Have a good day.
Hey, I didn't detect not one lie this sister said. And that is the truth. So that's all Donald Trump is saying. These people that are gaming the system and really have no legal right to be here at all, those are the ones that are going to have to go. Yes, he's going to have to go back to court because he's got to lay out exactly what he's going to do, how he's going to get these people out of here and stop them from coming back. So what he's doing, I think, is really smart. You know, I don't know if Donald Trump finally got the right people around him. what you got to do is the ones that come back in a week or come back in a few days, you got to strip them of everything where they have no citizenship. They can't get a work permit. They can't get in a home, apartment, or even stay at a shelter. They can't get a car. They can't earn no kind of living. Their kids can't go to school here. That's what you got to do. And that's what they intend on setting up. So the ones that are sneaking back into the country, it's going to all be for naught, because once Donald Trump strips the 14th Amendment exclusively from immigrants, they're not going to be allowed to do anything in this country. Their kids are not going to be allowed to do anything, and they won't even be able to attend school. So, being that you are stripped of even having a livelihood in America, you gonna just leave. It ain't no purpose in you being here if you can't do all of those things. You need a job to make it. And they're going to literally stop y'all from getting jobs here. So it ain't going to be no, oh, I got deported, but I'll be back in a week. Because when you come back in a week, you ain't going to be able to get nothing on this soil. That's exactly what Donald Trump is saying. But y'all need to get off of these videos trying to tell us what's going to happen to us, and the amendment is going to be completely struck off the Constitution. Those words never came out of Donald Trump's mouth. I watched that speech. In fact, I watched it more than once, because I watched it on my own, and then when I showed it on my live stream, I watched it again, and I know exactly what Donald Trump said, and I know exactly what Donald Trump meant. But unfortunately, there are many like this Somalian woman out there dropping all these videos. That's why I'm saying it's almost like they're trying to speak a curse on us. Oh, well, if we got to get out of here, let's put a curse on these African Americans so they'll be out of here too. You know, how do you, that's wicked. That's wicked. So just because Donald Trump is trying to right a wrong, you trying to turn around and wish bad on us. Now you see how that works, y'all. She ain't mad at Donald Trump. She ain't talking about Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the one that made this decision. No, she gonna double back and come to us and try to take it all out on us. That's what they're all doing. We ain't had nothing to do with Donald Trump stood there and said. Not one word out of her mouth was any anger towards him, and he's the one making her ass leave. We ain't do or say nothing to these immigrants, but they're mad at us over what Donald Trump said about the 14th Amendment. If y'all can figure this madness out, please explain it to me. We seem to be every damn body scapegoat up in here. Everybody's always trying to scapegoat off of us. She didn't say one disparaging thing for Donald Trump, who's getting her ass out of here, but she had everything to say about us. I will never understand it. Wow. And this is why so many people, when y'all get upset that you're not seeing sympathy online, this is exactly why you're not seeing it. This is why you're not seeing it. Wow. Jeffrey Massey, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate your support for my channel. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for enjoying the music. I do appreciate that. And your feedback. If you heard it and you like it, drop a comment. because then I can open up some more of the music in my vault for you. So y'all have a wonderful night. Shalom, family.